presided by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. So, as you may know, a statutory body is set up by Act of Parliament, and it is set up as an independent organization. It has a trust and it has its own governing board and an executive council. In this case, the specific governing board is special because it's presided by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. Sometimes the governing boards are presided by the line ministry secretary or the line ministry minister, etc. But in this case, the governing board is presided by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. So this sets it up as an independent organization across all ministries, across all stakeholders in India, and there's a specific reason for that. So our mission of ANRF is to catalyze India's rise as a research and innovation powerhouse. Okay, so ANRF was first mentioned as National Research Foundation in the context of a national education policy. 2020, Chapter 17 is dedicated to the vision of National Research Foundation, and the reason it was first founded was the fact that individual line ministries would be fragmented in their approach in terms of funding research, as well as there was no body that could fund things across ministries and so on, and cooperation across ministries was difficult as well. So these were some of the issues that were identified, as well as there were a lot of structural challenges of getting money out of the door and how to run research far more efficiently, research funding, but and how to support interdisciplinary research and so on. So while the ANRF Act acknowledged all these points, it set up ANRF at a much higher level as an apex organization across all of the stakeholders for research and innovation in India, both from the funding side as well as the execution side. Right, so funding side, and that could involve the government, different parts of government, as well as entities like philanthropy, industry, and so on and so forth, right? CSR and so on. And at the same time, the execution side, whether the execution is done by academia, national labs, or other parts of industry, startups, etc. All of this comes under the stakeholders of ANRF. So the governance structure of ANRF has an executive council and a governing board, a two-tier board. The executive council is chaired by the principal scientific advisor to the government of India, and the governing board is chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister of India. And the governing board also has vice presidents, the ministers of Honorable Minister of Education, Honorable Minister of Science and Technology as the vice presidents. And as part of the governing board and Executive Council, there are multiple secretaries of various scientific departments and others. And as a result, the ANRF as an organization reports to one of the executive that is interested in R&D. And then also we regularly also update Parliament. So coming to ANRF's overall strategy, we have two approaches to catalyze the research and innovation of India. So one is through a patient capital program called RDI, which is a 1 lakh crore fund. This is only for mid to higher technology readiness levels. As you can see, it's a minimum of TRL4 and above. It is only for private sector, and it is not a grant program. And ANRF is not directly allocating this capital. It is more like a Reserve Bank of India for RDI. We set up second level fund managers, and through them we allocate it. So the purpose of this is to also have one degree of indirection on on the balance sheets of companies. The second is to also do this much faster. So this is the approach in RDI, which is a capital fund, patient capital fund. It is not a grant program. The second is, if you notice, the first, which I described, mid-TRL and above, is for private sector led. The second part is academia-led, academia or labs in general. So this is more, the grants program is not for private sector. The grant program is for the academia, labs, and the not-for-profit sector, and different programs from them. All this is at earlier TRLs. It is a grant. It is not a capital program, and it is meant to drive technology deals at the earlier stages, as well as accelerating promising technologies towards the impact in mid-TRL. If you notice, there's an overlap between the mid-TRL years. So these TRL things are as a guideline. The goal is that the early TRL will be squarely funded by the ANRF core, but then mid-TRLs are areas of transition where there are some programs are extend up to mid-TRL and then it can be pivoted over to the private sector for scaling. So the RDA fund and the grant program is depicted here. The fund flows comes from the central government through the Ministry EST to ANRF, either as a grant or a loan. And then the loan in term is put into a special purpose fund of ANRF, which is called RDIF. As you can see, ANRF can create special purpose funds in the future for other purposes, special purposes. In this case, RDI is a special purpose. It sets up a patient capital fund and through which financial intermediaries like alternate investment funds, focused research organization, and others, deep tech fund of funds, etc., can be created. So if you notice, the purpose of this is to really create an ecosystem or an asset class of investing, which in turn will drive the final investment to the real economy investees, which have to be resident Indian controlled entities, which are actually companies, deep tech startups, and so on, or it can be joint ventures and so on, at different sizes. So on the grant side, we have two approaches. One is like the National Science Foundation, which I call horizontal, which provides broad-based support across academia and labs and so on. So that is fundamental support structure we provide. And then we also have other early career programs and fellowship programs and so on. So those are the fundamental research support that we provide. But there again, we are asking PIs to be more bolder in their approach and measuring all of these based on impact as well. And the second part is the vertical. Think of this more like DARPA or ARPA in the United States, or more directed research and innovation. So this is run in mission mode, or it could be challenge mode, and it can be used to drive accelerated translation to economic impact or societal impact. And also industry academic collaboration is baked into many of these things. And as part of this, one of the key differences in the way ARF is founded compared to other parts of the world is the recognition and the need to catalyze industry participation or non-governmental participation more generally in the earlier stages of research. And we invite partnerships in our programs in various ways, and I'll describe that shortly. So if I were to put together all of these core research strategies, the horizontal is more like a foundation, and the vertical is like pillars. And some of these verticals are also to drive rapid upliftment of our research ecosystem. And we have a program in that called PAIR program. So, or the mission mode and the industry academic collaboration. And we do a few things as an apex to cut across our roles, across ministries, across other things. So programmatically, most of our programs are either following these horizontal or vertical programs, and we can see some of them named here. To give you more of a different picture, their PAIR program is a hub and spoke that helps capacity development, and we've been supporting multiple tens of state universities and emerging institutions, making investments in them, but also doing it in a way that drives collaboration with top tier universities and so on, and institutions. And then there are emerging hubs and spokes as well, which have been supported at an earlier stage, and they can further compete for the next round of PAIR. PMECRG is an early career broad-based research program, and we supported over 700 last time. And EV Mission is an example of a mission mode program which involves academia and industry, but again, de-risking technologies from the TRL2 level and going up to TRL 6 or 7. And that is to really accelerate some of these, but in close collaboration with industry as well and industry participation. If you notice our mission mode programs, these are organized either by sectors, various areas which are sort of feeders to RDI, the sunrise sectors in RDI, electric mobility, medtech, medical technologies, 2D materials, which is in advanced materials, AI for science and engineering, AI, the intersection of science and engineering, critical raw materials, drones, which we're going to be announcing shortly as well. And in addition, we are working on a very large program on societal innovation. The Honorable Prime Minister has asked us to look at societal innovation and how we can do not ordinary projects, but leapfrog demonstrators for these societal innovations. So these are to be done at scale and to look at new approaches to go after hard problems and to look at research, innovation, and technology and so on, which can drive change. But societal innovation may also involve a combination of technology and social sciences as well to drive and policy and other things to drive impact. So, but we are inviting proposals which will be bold and be leapfrog demonstrators to really help cross the chasm. If you notice, this is almost like the mid TRL level transition or acceleration through the mid TRL level from the early TRL levels. And we're also working on other in the pipeline in terms of 6G, water, and with renewable energy and so on. So we will continue to be expanding this Maha set of programs as we partner with different ministries. We are in conversation with several ministries, and we welcome the participation of line ministries to work with us and also contribute to these programs. For example, in MedTech, we have partnership with ICMR and the Gates Foundation, and AI, I'll shortly mention. Critical raw materials, we partner with the Ministry of Mines and so on. To give you an idea of the one a large mission we're doing, AI for Science and Engineering involves a partnership with MIT and the India AI Mission. We are really grateful for the partnerships across with other science ministries, DRDO, Ministry of Earth Sciences, DBT, for different areas of their interest. And we also have external partners like Gates Foundation, Sarvam AI, BharatGen, and also we recently in the AI Summit have announced partnerships with NVIDIA, with Google, with Qualcomm, and so on. The purpose of this, if you notice, is to really build an open platform, open set of models for science and engineering, as well as opening up data sets that can be used to train future models. And so the goal is to really accelerate the creation of new deep science, as well as the acceleration of deep science to deep tech by using AI as a fundamental building block and as a foundation model, but also to use modern techniques, not just to put some regression model on some old data and so on. And all the outputs of this program are licensed via an ANRF open license. This will enable faster transition and also incentivizes collaboration with startups and others who can bring their problems and closely collaborate. Translational research and innovation, we are also putting centers in place. So this is a program which is currently open in the final stages. So where sector-specific centers or translation centers, which are the mid-TRL level, will be established. And we fund up to 100 crores out of a 200 crore budget. Again, these we expect co-funding, and co-funding can come from different sources, including state and other sources, including other parts of the government, as well as specific co-funding from industry or other sources like philanthropy and so on. And the purpose, again, is not just the co-funding, but also the depth of collaboration, the depth of translation to establish such centers. And these will be established in academia and labs and so on. In terms of partnerships, many of the partnerships we expect that non-governmental partners may prefer to work with individual bidders to our programs, potential grantees, who will then be bidding to programs that ANRF sets up, including the rest of the government of India. ANRF also may partner along with the rest of government of India with non-governmental partners. For example, in our MedTech program, we partnered with ICMR, which is the rest of government of India, and with the Gates Foundation, it's a non-governmental partner at the top level. So these partnerships on the right side, top down, are at much larger scale. But the key proviso is that the non-governmental partners partner and contribute to ANRF programs. While we give them capital allocation flexibility on where they would like to put their money, but the program itself is defined and driven by ANRF. So over time, we'll be opening up all of NRF programs for partnerships as we go forward. So the general approach is that NRF defines programs, and then we invite partners to partner with us. And we also, of course, take into account preferences of the partners as we design these programs and so on and so forth. But end of the day, programs are things that we get approved by the Executive Council in national interest. We are also doing things in challenge mode. By a challenge mode, what I mean is a problem that is very well defined, and we ask for proposals against those problem definitions. And this is inspired by DARPA challenges, which have been very effective in driving change. And also, some of these challenges are quite inspirational as well. So, this is a new mode in which, or a new format within our programs, we will be conducting that. So, in addition to some areas where we have broad-based calls, we will also have, as part of our programs, or challenge mode calls as well. So we are using social media quite aggressively in terms of both telling people about our programs, doing webinars. We're also using this as a medium for capacity development. We're using this as a stage for our young researchers who are giving talks and broadening out their impact and building a community across that ANRF is able to drive. We are using also this to drive ease of doing science and solving problems, as well as channels for various of our big programs as well. Another thing we are doing as an Apex organization is to support a program called Saral AI, which is democratizing research using AI and social media tools. So, where if you have a primary publication, you can convert this into secondary media such as videos, podcasts, multiple languages. We support 19 different Indian languages, and this can also be converted into posters, presentations. So this allows an emerging researcher to really take hard papers and be able to quickly understand them. And this allows new researchers to be able to write proposals much better. And also for technology transition and industry academic collaboration to make linkages across researchers and industry and so on, right? So the purpose of this is to really enable the frontier of Indian research to be, showcased through and using AI as a tool for this. So this part broader master platform that we are thinking about and we're working on. So this will have science and technology indicators, outputs from various universities and different line ministries and departments, the ability to search for experts and many other things like what I described. Okay, with that, I urge you to connect with ANRF if you're not following us on our social media like LinkedIn or Twitter, or I would also urge you to look at our YouTube channel where we are putting out lots of videos and especially research capacity development videos and so on, and also my talks and others are available. So we are intending that ANRF is not just celebrating itself, but celebrating the research community. So we want to be a platform and as a force for good for our community. Okay, with that, thank you. Happy to take any questions.
So good afternoon, sir. I'm Yoga Priya from Konganadu College. I'm having the grant of Power Grant. So we are in the stage of completing the 75% of the product work. So what would be the IPR? Recently, we have received through LinkedIn. I have come to know some IPR policy have been derived newly. So I need the clarification for IPR.
So look, NLF has published our IP policy, which is based on US approach, which is where the IP is owned by the grantee institutions. So when we fund grants, NRF grants are governed by our default IP policy. Which means that when you're a grantee and you develop some new IP and your institution, let's say your university and so on, so the grantee institution is our counterparty for our projects, and our grantee institution, is where the IP will best. Okay. Now that what it means is that we don't support joint IP and all of those sorts of things. So, but the grantee institution has a lot of freedom in further licensing of that IP. And we've given broad guidelines for, whether it's a non-exclusive license or even they can consider exclusive license, depending upon the opportunity and the specific technology. So whether for technology transition, technology transfers, there's a lot of flexibility in doing that. And this is world-class, sort of setup of IP. So that removes a lot of confusion. And later we may also do further guidelines on thinking through various things. The UK has a wonderful set of toolkit called the Lambert toolkit. We are studying that to see whether we need to give further guidance on IP. But default IP policy is just that. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is in some programs, I should emphasize that in some programs alone, we do open IP licensing. For example, in our AI for Science and Engineering program, we have mandated that the IP from that program where we support will be licensed as per an ANRF open license. The IP still vests with the institution, but the licensing is compulsorily based on an ANRF open license for models, data sets, and so on. Similarly, for the drones program we're going to come up with, we'll be generously funding, but the IP, we will be having another ANRF open license, which includes not just the software patents and software models and data sets, but also for patents and designs. So the purpose of this is that this will drive faster transition from academia to industry in terms of collaboration, as well as in terms of the IP being converted to products and so on. So this is an experiment we're doing in those specific programs, but broad IP policies that IP vests with our grantees. This is consistent with the BIDOL principle in the United States.